Minutes to 7 o'clock, and it's time for us to connect with Dr. Deonita. How are you doing this morning?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Very, very well. So Dr. Deonita Damons is with Boston Online Home Education, and we need to talk about this reading without understanding. And I must admit, there have been times in my life that I've read something and I'm like, sorry, I just don't get it. I don't get it. So in order to progress through and be able to participate in the world, reading and understanding of what one reads is an essential skill. However, sadly, in South Africa, 78% of school children cannot read for meaning by the time that they are 10 years old. That's why we're chatting to Dr. Deonita Damons. We've heard these figures. What is the current situation for children regarding reading?
Good morning, Jonathan, and morning to your listeners. Let me start by saying that, first of all, our president made a commitment to ensure that by 2030, all 10-year-olds will be able to read with meaning. And in answering to this commitment, the Reading Panel 2030 was established, chaired by Dr. Pumzile Mhlamba-Guka. And like you rightly say, the panel reports that 78% of grade 4s cannot read for meaning in any language. But the panel will start meeting in 2022 and every subsequent year until 2030 to evaluate progress towards this goal and hopefully change the situation. And if we don't change the situation, and given the current rate of progress, it will take us approximately 80 years before all South African children can read for meaning. And obviously children are missing out on acquiring invaluable fundamental and foundational skills that will likely impact on the rest of their lives and possibly reduce their potential to escape from poverty. So it is a dire situation unless we change it around very quickly.
But what does reading for meaning really involve?
I think, like you said, sometimes you read something and you don't comprehend it yourself. And it goes beyond just superficially putting and stringing together a sentence. It requires the person to actively engage with the topic and understand the content, whether it is a book, a poem, study material, a storybook, fairy tale. And it encourages learners to ask questions and interrogating the subject and text. And having Boston Online having adopted the Cambridge curriculum, our learners are encouraged to critically evaluate and analyze content by asking questions like, then having to describe what they have read in their own words, internalizing it, and maybe put their personal view of what they think it should be, or look at it from different perspectives. Because this type of questioning takes the learner deeper into the story content, and also develop critical skills like critical thinking, problem solving. This is ultimately the objective in education.
Sure, that's really good to hear. So results from pre-COVID international tests exposed the systemic issues in our education system within South Africa, and specifically with regard to the learners' results, substantially below that of the standards of global students at the same age and same level. Can you just give us some further insights?
Well, I think, first of all, let's go to our low outcome in terms of our early grade outcomes, how poor it is because our foundational learning is not sound. It is predicative of the learner's ability to ultimately reach matric and most likely pass matric. Also, if you look at 2019 trends in international maths and science studies, which take place every 4 years, South Africa ranks 55 out of 58 countries, with only 37 and 28% of grade 5 learners demonstrating that they can acquire basic maths and knowledge. Now, obviously, it puts us at the back foot again, and with the pandemic, although we've made great strides prior to that, it really just sets us back so much so internationally that we'll never have an equal playing field for our learners to participate in the global market.
Sure. If you've just joined the conversation, we're chatting to Dr. Deonita Damons from Boston Online Home Education about the importance of not just reading, but reading and understanding what you're reading, and the high rate amongst school children under the age of 10 and younger, where they read or can't read or just simply can't read and understand. As we kind of conclude this conversation, Dr. Deonita, what are some of the solutions that we can implement to close this gap?
I think, first of all, we need to look at educator training or training our educators or retraining our educators in the various modalities of reading, because there's often an assumption that the educator understands things like phonetic, vocabulary, etc., especially new teachers coming into the profession and in-service training for existing educators. But also it starts at home. It starts at home where the parents engage actively with the child when they read and asking them questions about what they understand they're reading. Not simply reading so that they can say they've read to the child, but let the child interrogate and challenge them in how they think and perceive the story is and what the content of the story is. Because focusing on the child's comprehension at that early age does cement a very good foundation for them and the ability for them to understand content further on in life and give them the confidence to ask the questions. Because sometimes kids don't ask the questions because they were never allowed to do that at home. So they read because they have to. They don't read because they understand what they're reading.
Sure, that's very true. Lastly, can Boston Online Home Education assist parents if they need help in this specific area?
I think we have a very good mechanism or a reading tool at the moment that we can assist parents with, especially under our Cambridge curriculum. And I would encourage them to go to the Boston Online website and see if they can get in touch with one of our advisors that can put them in touch with one of our educators to assist them in terms of assisting their children learning to read for understanding.
What's that website address, please?
I will have to give it to you. I don't have it with me right now, but
No
I'll definitely
problem.
send it through to you so you can distribute it to your listeners.
Yes, for sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. So as we're wrapping up and again give you that website address shortly, just once again, we've been chatting to Dr. Deonita Damons with regard to reading with understanding, reading with meaning, and that whole process. So thank you so much. What we'll do is after the news, once Dr. Deonita's gotten that website address, I'll share that with you. But Dr. Deonita, thank you so much for your time this morning. We really do appreciate you and for chatting to us this morning. Thank you.
It is my pleasure. Thank you, Jonathan.
Okay, take care.